Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk a little bit about Moleskine paper. Now I work at a stationery shop occasionally when I'm not doing singing gigs here in Sydney, and we sell a lot of Moleskine, and I always get asked whether Moleskine is good for fountain pens. And you know, people in the know kind of who have been using fountain pens for a while and have a range of notebooks kind of know that Moleskine doesn't quite stand up, but a lot of people who are new to the hobby or buying for friends, they may not be entirely aware. Now, I have shown a number of Moleskine notebooks and things over the years on this channel. I've spoken about the paper, but one thing I wanted to do today was show a particular new notebook that I got because, well, I'm a space nerd, but what I wanted to do was show a range of the different papers from different Moleskine notebooks. So this one here, I've got it unpackaged here, is this very cool notebook. It is the Moleskine Inspired by Wonder NASA collaboration, and it's got this really like cool cover that is like the moon in relief. It's very, very cool. Like all the creators are actually like, you know, debossed into it. So what I've done is I've done a writing sample in here in the back. I'm not going to review the notebook. I just want to show the quality of the paper. And then what I've actually done is from my notebook collection is I have taken pages from a range of other Moleskine notebooks here, and I've written with all the same writing instruments. I've also done a control version here. This is Studio Milligram Notemaker paper, which I think is a really decent, affordable paper option available here in Australia. And I've written with a couple of fountain pens and then a range of other writing instruments just so we can get a sense of it. But let's have a quick look here at this NASA notebook. I'll also do a quick live writing sample with a fountain pen just to sort of show what I mean. Okay, so in the back here, as I said, I'm not doing a full review of the notebook. This is just about the paper. So this is the Moleskine NASA Large Ruled Notebook 100 GSM paper. So this is one of their premium notebooks. It uses their premium quality paper, and you know, different Moleskine. You know, there is a difference. So what I've written with on all of these is a Lamy black ink and a Hongdian C1 fine nib, Lamy bronze in a Lamy 14K nib, which I have on an Emporium fountain pen with a fine nib, and then Pilot Orochizuku Shinkai in my Pilot Sterling with a medium nib. I've then written with a Fisher Space ballpoint in my Wingback ballpoint pencil, which is fantastic. Lamy Jetstream in a ballpoint pen, and then the Uniball Zento gel roller, Kaweco gel roller, and Emote from Uniball, which is their one of their fine liners in 0.4. Artline fine liner 0.4, Tom Studio Ren, which is a fiber tip pen, the Pentel Kerry mechanical pencil 0.72B, and then done an eraser test, and then the Caran d'Ache ballpoint for a highlighter check there. I've also written with a Sharpie. Now, if we look at the front page of this particular paper, you see it performs pretty well. It actually looks quite nice. Sometimes on Moleskine, as you'll see on some of the other paper, colors tend to look a little bit mottled or sort of broken. Here they look nice. There's not a whole lot of feathering from anything, and particularly things like the ballpoint and the pencils and things all look really great. One thing I will say is I actually quite like Moleskine notebooks with ballpoint pen or with pencil, but anything sort of wetter, gels, rollers, fountain pens and things don't tend to work out too well. If we look at the reverse of this page, what we see is actually a very good performance from Moleskine. This really is probably the top line of their paper, and it feels different. It feels glossy and smooth and, you know, luxurious. Yes, the Sharpie has come through, and the medium nib Pilot Sterling there has come through. That's quite a, you know, a strong nib. But everything else looks quite good, and there's not a whole lot of show through. There's a little bit coming through from like the gel rollers and things like that, and the fine liners, but nothing much really at all. It's actually performed very well by Moleskine standards. And that's what we'll look at now. Let's look at the range of some of the other papers I have here. So we'll start here. This is the Moleskine Extra Large Cahir 70 GSM paper. This is where you can see, like, the ink starts to look a bit mottled and broken on the surface of this paper. The weave of this paper just doesn't hold up to it. Same thing as some like the fine liners and things in the Ren don't look as tight or as nice. Once again, pencil and ballpoints and things work really, really well. You know, so it's okay, but on the reverse, everything has sort of come through that's not a ballpoint or a pencil. So the rollers, the fine liners, the Ren, the Sharpie, all the fountain pens have all bled through. That is the sort of standard you can expect from the standard 70 GSM paper. And that carries across into the student journal here, which is 70 GSM paper. And we get the same kind of look. You know, if you look at Iroshizuku, there's lots of feathering and splitting of the, you know, of it. It kind of looks grainy, is what I mean by broken. Once again, the gel rollers, all those sorts of things perform okay on the surface here. Colors are a little more dull, and the reverse, spots are bleeding through, or like the rollers and things, and then the fountain pens have really bled through. Now, I pulled up two different versions of the grid paper here from the which is 72 GSM from the standard classic Moleskine notebook, because occasionally there are slight differences in performance. So looking at this particular one, these were from the same notebook, but they are made in different batches and have different quality control and all those kinds of things. So, you know, the paper, the inks look okay here. You know, nothing has broken up sort of too much. The Lamy bronze looks quite nice. Iroshizuku dark and strong, a little bit of shading even, and of course all the gel rollers and ballpoints and things all look pretty good. The reverse of that page shows, once again, probably better performance than the student journals and things like that, even though it's still 70 GSM paper. It is a slightly higher quality paper. Fountain pen, particularly the Pilot there, once again, bleeding through, but the others are, you know, holding a little better. Same with the gel rollers and the fine liners and Sharpie coming through there. On this one, the colors look, I don't know if the camera's going to be able to get it all in there, but the colors look a little bit more broken up here. They're not quite as tight. The lines don't feel quite as nice, but everything else sort of looks okay. And on the reverse, we get a little bit more bleed, just a tiny bit more. I'll pull these up next to each other. Just a tiny bit more bleed through on this version of the exact same notebook. These were all written at the same, you know, in the same session, the same pen, paper, next pen, go through all the paper. So like we are, you know, we're not talking about super different, you know, wetnesses of pens on different days and things. We're talking about the same writing session, all these notebooks one after the other, and there's a little bit more bleed here on this version of the same paper. So it's just something to be aware of. There are inconsistencies in the Moleskine paper. Next, we have a page here from the Precious and Ethical notebook, which is one of their sort of more premium notebooks. So this is 100 GSM paper. I think the fountain pens look really bad here. You can see how broken and feathered those lines are. They are not tight at all. They are not clean. Things like the roller balls and things are all okay. On the surface here, ballpoint, you know, looks good as you would expect. This is a slightly sort of toothier paper than the classic paper. It's a little heavier, and on the back we get a lot of bleed, particularly from the fountain pens, and then spots of bleeding from other things. So the Precious and Ethical notebooks cost a considerable amount more than the classic, but to my eye, the paper performs slightly worse here. Next, I have the Professional Journal. This is once again 70 GSM paper. Feels slightly different to the standard 70 GSM, like it's a little toothier. I also really love the layout here. I think these little like subdivisions for meetings and things is a really nice touch. In terms of the ink performance, it's not great. You know, once again, feathering, breaking of lines, all that kind of stuff. And even things like the emote there look really dull and sort of lackluster. Ballpoints look good, pencil great. Reverse of this is one of the worst performances. So we get a lot of bleeding, spots of bleeding through the Kaweco gel roller, a little bit from the Uniball Zento, but mainly the gel roller, and then the fine liners. Of course, the Ren and the fountain pens do really very badly here. So this is the Professional Journal series. So these papers are not designed for fountain pens. They're not designed for markers. They're not designed for wetter writing instruments. These really are ballpoint and you know, pencil really, but you're paying a big premium for, you know, Moleskine paper, which doesn't perform any better than any other paper. It's just the brand of the book. And then we get the Bullet notebook. This has the 120 GSM paper from Moleskine. This I expected better performance, you know, like it's designed to be the bullet journal equivalent. So thinking people will be using markers and things like that. We just don't see that here. We still see anything that's slightly wet feathers and breaks. And then if we look at the inside here, The fountain pens all bleed through, Sharpie bleeds through, but at least the gel rollers and ballpoints and things, nothing there has come through. But if you were wanting to use the Moleskine bullet notebook for bullet journaling with markers and things, I would suggest maybe still sticking with other brands. So as I said, I did a control here, and this is Studio Milligram Notemaker paper, just in one of the Studio Milligram notebooks. This is a really sort of relatively affordable paper. This is a B5 notebook, lots of pages. They do a range of different versions across both Studio Milligram and Any Day Now notebooks that use this Taiwanese milled paper. It's 80 GSM, and it carries ink or holds ink very, very well. We get shading, we get sheen, we get tight lines, we get nice, decent, erasability of the pencil. It's a slightly toothy paper. It's like it's not a coated paper, but it is definitely not rough. So it's not pleasant to write on. As I said, relatively affordable. And if we look at the reverse of this, like there's a couple of spots where the fine liner has just broken through, Sharpie's come through. And while you can read through it, like there is ghosting, the fountain pen hasn't actually come through here. In sort of general writing, the paper performs pretty well. Like I would say this is better than the better Moleskine paper. So what I'm going to do very quickly is a live writing sample using the NASA notebook here, the student journal, the classic paper, and then we'll put it alongside the Notemaker paper here. So for this writing sample, I have the Titan fountain pen from 5040, and this is inked with Waterman Serenity Blue. It's got a medium nib. So just a very simple writing sample with the hope of just showing what, a relatively wet pen, like it is a pretty wet pen with a nice sort of safe ink, how that sort of goes. Looks nice on the surface of this Notemaker paper. We'll let all these dry and then we'll come back and show the reverse. As this ink dries, you can actually see it like going into that sort of separated grainy sort of look that I'm trying to describe, that sort of mottled look. I'll try and get a photo of this to give a true indication of sort of how it looks on the page. Okay, so there's the control. Here is the Moleskine page. You can see it actually looks okay on this surface. There's a bit of shading. It hasn't gone too mottled. You can see a bit of feathering occasionally, but sort of nothing sort of too scary. And on the reverse here, we get points of bleed through. So there's like a few spots where lines have crossed over and a little bit more ink sort of gone down, but it performs okay. This was the better of the two versions of this classic notebook paper. Just for the sake of the record, on the reverse of the Notemaker page here, nothing has come through. You can see there's a bit of ghosting, but nothing has come through at all. The colors all look, well, the color looks, very nice and vibrant, and the lines are tight. Even, once again, hits of sheen there. So this is really nice everyday paper that does handle fountain pens quite well. Here's that student journal page again, like with that sort of mottled, sort of faded sort of color that has feathered and sort of moved around a lot. And the reverse of that, really not very good at all. And then finally, the NASA notebook. I think the color looks really good here. It's nice and rich. There's even hits of sheen, not a whole lot, but hits of it. And the shading is nice. The lines hold tight. And on the reverse, it's gone very, very well. So what are we going to take away from all of this? Is Moleskine paper fountain pen friendly? Well, I think, absolutely not. Is it okay for ballpoints and things like that? I think so. Like, that's sort of where I pitch it. I kind of think that, it's a great notebook if the person you're getting it for is just a sort of standard notebook user, doesn't need fountain pen friendly, doesn't need, sort of a high performance paper. They look really nice. Things like this special edition here is just phenomenal. At the moment, there's the Charlie Brown ones as well, Peanuts one, which are fantastic. But please be aware of the paper. If you are new to fountain pens, please be aware that Moleskine is not fountain pen friendly paper in general. Some perform better than others, but in general, you just don't know, because even within the same line of paper, of notebooks, you get variants. So this was a look at Moleskine paper. Is it fountain pen friendly? Is it not? What do you think? What's your experience with it? This is, as I said, my experience. I've shown the exact same pens across a range of the paper and just shown some of the variation you can expect. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you would like to support the channel, I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your notebooks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.